Hello students, are you worried about the unseen poems in your SSC English exam? I know many of you are, but what if I told you there's a clear strategy to turn that confusion around? In this session, we're going to break it down step by step so that any unseen poem becomes something you can easily understand. Ready to begin? Let's get started.
First things first, let's understand exactly what we're facing. Knowing the challenge is always the first step to winning it. So let's look at our mission profile for this particular section. Okay, look closely here. We're talking about question number 17 to 21. That's 5 multiple choice questions. And that means 5 marks are on the line, 1 for each question. The most important word here is precision. Why? Because with MCQs, your answer is either 100% right or 100% wrong. There are no partial marks.
Now, to tackle this section, you need to know what kind of questions you're going to be asked. Let's call them the 5 question archetypes. Think of it as knowing your opponent before the match begins. Here are the 5 main types. The big picture is all about the main theme or central idea. The microscope asks you to look at very specific details. The detective means you have to find some hidden meanings. The mechanic, well, that tests your knowledge of poetic devices. And finally, the translator is about understanding the meaning of certain words in the context of the poem.
All right, now that we know the kinds of questions, we need a solid plan. I'm going to give you a master protocol, a simple 9-step method that'll help you break down any unseen poem you face. Phase 1 is all about intake and analysis, basically understanding the poem. It starts with the double read. You read it once to get a general idea, and a second time to really understand the meaning. Then you find the core, which is just the central idea. And finally, you use the context to figure out any difficult words by looking at the lines around them.
Next up is Phase 2, where we decode the layers. This is where we dig a little deeper. Step 4 is the device scan. You actively look for figures of speech. Step 5 is your emotional radar. You try to identify the tone of the poem. Is it happy, sad, hopeful? And Step 6 is highlighting, where you mark the most important lines.
And in our final phase, connection and execution, we get ready to answer. Step 7, the mirror, is where you try to connect the poem to real life. Step 8 is the evidence. This is super important. You have to find proof for your answer right there in the text. And Step 9, the summary, is where you quickly summarize the poem in your mind before answering.
Now, to use this protocol effectively, you'll need the right tools. So let's open up our essential toolkit and review the key poetic devices. Knowing these is crucial for those mechanic type questions we talked about.
Let's start with the basics. First, we have simile. This is a comparison using the words like or as. For example, as brave as a lion. Next is a metaphor, which is a direct comparison, like time is a thief. And then there's personification, which is when you give human qualities to non-human things, like the wind whispered.
Okay. Now for a few more tools for your kit. Alliteration is the repetition of the first sound in words, like wings were waiting. Imagery is language that creates a picture in your mind, like golden light. Rhyme is, of course, similar ending sounds, like star and r. And enjambment, that's just when a sentence continues from one line to the next without any punctuation.
Great, so you have the strategy and you have the tools. Now let's talk about some final tips for success on exam day. This is our tactical briefing, so please pay close attention to the do's and don'ts.
Here are 4 things you should always do. 1. Analyze the title. It's often your biggest clue. 2. Look for the turn. That's the point in the poem where the mood or idea changes. 3. Distinguish between literal meaning and symbolic meaning. And 4. Always eliminate the wrong options first. It really improves your chances.
And now, just as important, here are 4 things you must not do. Don't rush. One reading is never enough. Don't panic if you see a difficult word. Use the context. Don't assume anything based on your general knowledge. The answer is always in the poem. And finally, don't ignore the deeper meaning of the poem.
Okay, let's see how this works with a quick example. Imagine a poem called The Power of a Dream. We would identify its subject as hope. We might find a metaphor like dream is a spark. The tone would be hopeful. And the final lesson? That a small dream can lead to big changes. See, this is the kind of analysis you should do.
You know, poets often use nature to teach us lessons. For example, a poem about a silent seed could teach us about patience, and one about a river's journey could teach us about persistence.
So the main takeaway here is that nature is very often used as a mirror for good human qualities.
All right, before you mark your final answer, I want you to go through this quick 5-step checklist. Ask yourself, 1. Have I read the poem twice? 2. Have I thought about the title? 3. Did I identify the tone? 4. Can I find evidence in the text? And 5. Have I eliminated all the wrong options? Only when you can say yes to all 5 should you mark your answer.
So there you have it. The code is cracked. The poem they give you might be unseen, but your strategy is now crystal clear. Just remember this simple formula. Precision plus patience equals 5 marks. Now go and practice this. You can do it. All the best.